A new Human Rights Watch report accuses Israel of committing war crimes and crimes against humanity in Gaza. The 150-page report details evidence the group claims shows Israel's displacement of the majority of the civilian population meets the definition of ethnic cleansing. The Israeli military says it's committed to international law and says it issues evacuation orders to protect civilians from combat. Foreign correspondent Britt Clennett joins me live now from Jerusalem for more. Britt, the author of this report says the group looked at more than 100 of Israel's evacuation orders, and they say they found Israel was evacuating people but then attacking safe routes in evacuation areas at the same time, leaving nowhere safe in Gaza. So how significant are these claims, and how is Israel responding to that?
Yeah, and quite a scathing report by Human Rights Watch, accusing Israel of overseeing the forced mass displacement of Palestinians in Gaza in what it describes as a deliberate and systematic campaign that amounts to a war crime and crimes against humanity. Now, in that statement, it cited the illegal and deliberate demolition of homes and infrastructure. It also said that, the aims of these buffer zones, questioning the aims of these security corridors and buffer zones, and also saying that from which these positions the Palestinians are likely to be permanently displaced. We know from the United Nations that 1.9 million Palestinians in Gaza are displaced. That's 90% of the territory's population. We also did hear from the IDF in response to this report, saying that the Israeli military is committed to international law and operates accordingly. It also pointed out that it does issue evacuation orders, but we know from speaking to people in the ground in Gaza who have evacuated, some of them 9 times, that they are worried and that their fears are always that there is nowhere safe to go in Gaza.
Now, by international law, Israel must provide the population with food, water, and shelter, right, if they displace civilians. But Human Rights Watch says Israel is using starvation as a weapon of war. We know 15 trucks carrying aid were allowed into northern Gaza yesterday. How big of an impact could that have in the region on the brink of famine? And what do you make of that part of this report?
Well, aid groups will say 15 trucks is a drop in the ocean. I spoke to a COGAT spokesperson the other day. COGAT is responsible for facilitating the transfer of aid into Gaza. And he was actually admitting that, that the numbers that they facilitate fall short of that 350 truck a day demand by the United States. But they blame aid organizations for not distributing that aid inside Gaza, saying there are trucks on the other side waiting to deliver aid. But in fact, we speak to aid groups who say that it's just not safe to deliver that aid to the people who desperately need it. And Israel needs to create the conditions to be able to facilitate that aid and get that food, that water into people who so desperately need it, as I say, Diane.
And Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's corruption trial is moving forward after the Jerusalem District Court rejected his request to delay testifying. So what's the latest on that, and how could that impact the war?
Yeah, so that begins in December. He's expected to testify 3 times a week. It's not clear how this is going to impact the direction of the war, but I think everyone is going to watch very closely to see what kind of impact the Trump presidency will have. Will he free up Israel's hand a little bit more, or will he wrap up the war and put pressure on Netanyahu to end their campaign in Gaza and in Lebanon? But certainly Netanyahu's relationship with Trump is stronger than Netanyahu's relationship with Biden. We know that they've been on the phone 3 times, and that itself shows the strength of the relationship going forward. But, it's unknown what kind of direction the war will have under Trump.
Foreign correspondent Britt Clennett in Jerusalem for us. Thanks, Britt. Stay safe.